Family, following the irresponsible and reckless talk of General Sanyatwe, many Zimbabweans have come out guns blazing on him, demanding answers to the statements that he spoke, which are actually a constitutional coup. General Sanyatwe, we don't care how long he's been in ZANU-PF or how much he thinks about ZANU-PF, but the will of the Zimbabwean people is against what ZANU-PF has done and ZANU-PF is doing right now. General Sanyatwe, of all people, he has no right to come and speak the way that he did to the Zimbabwean people, considering the irresponsible actions that he did when he led the soldiers that shot people in the streets in the elections of 2018. That is never going to be forgiven, and that is not going to be forgotten. Zimbabwean people will continue to remember what he did. So Job Sikhala, he has attacked General Sanyatwe for his reckless talk. And not only Sikhala, but many other Zimbabwean people are also speaking the same way that Sikhala is speaking here, when we have somebody who is threatening the very existence and the life of the Zimbabwean people. It's not going to be acceptable, and we are not going to accept it. So on his tweet, he has written that zvokuti ZANU-PF ichatonga kusvika madhongi amira nyanga kuzvinyepera uku kuzvifadza nenhema. And I think we do agree totally with the Honorable Job Sikhala here that all that whatever that Sanyatwe is saying is just hogwash. It's not going to stand the test of time, because what is going to be happening is only the plans of God for Zimbabwe, not the plans of men. No man can speak like a god the way that the ZANU-PF people want to speak. So we are saying we condemn the statement and we are not accepting it, and every Zimbabwean must stand upright to defend Zimbabwe and to continue to recommend that people like General Sanyatwe are supposed to answer for the wrongs and the crimes that they've committed in Zimbabwe. We do not forget what he said during the Mhlante Commission, where he said that soldiers were shooting at 45-degree angle, when the 45-degree angle caused bullets to enter into people's bodies. How could soldiers be shooting at 45 degrees and they would manage to shoot somebody at the back? So that is just hogwash, all that he has said. And of course, he tried to lie, he tried to misrepresent facts in the Mhlante Commission, trying to protect Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF, but it did not work. Because at the end of the day, the Mhlante Commission, the final report of the Mhlante Commission indicated that the army had acted irresponsibly, and whoever had given the command is actually to blame, and that happens to be Mnangagwa himself. So when we look at what is happening right now, we are looking at a scenario where there is fire in the cockpit, and ZANU-PF are about to eat each other's liver. Now, because of that and the threats that we have had of how Mnangagwa is threatening some of the generals, especially the 5 targeted generals, we now see Sanyatwe coming out to speak like this, probably trying to cover up for himself, to absolve himself from the 5 that are targeted by Mnangagwa, or to try and show himself like he's in support of Vene and the Mafidi dynasty. But of course, we know that he's a buddy of General Chiwenga. So the only problem that we are seeing here is of a people that are afraid of the masses. Right now, as we speak, ZANU-PF is afraid of the masses in Zimbabwe. They know that the masses are actually against them, and anything can happen at any time. And when if they are going to be continuously doing what they are doing, as we are seeing, especially the exposure right now that is out there with the corruption in Mnangagwa's very office, corruption with Mnangagwa's children, corruption with Mnangagwa's wife, corruption with Mnangagwa's allies, and all those people that are surrounding him, people like Wikno Chivayo, the Chimombes, and the Moses Mpofus, and of course, Zek also being included in such dirty deals that we are hearing about all over. So that on its own is showing that there's a lot of exposure that has happened in ZANU-PF, and it is causing quite a lot of, instability right within the party itself, and they don't know how to deal with this. This is why every time that ZANU-PF is cornered, they would want to come against or after the people. So this time around, it's not going to work. Threatening Zimbabweans is not going to solve any problem right now as we are looking at things happening. We saw Anna Jenfan Muswere coming out threatening Zimbabweans because of the planned mass demonstrations. Why are they threatening Zimbabwean people? This is the very government that came out, that came into power through the demonstration that happened to people, and also the army being involved in an illegal coup that removed an elected government. So they came in illegally, and they are an illegal government. And look at how afraid the illegal government is. The government that came illegally is most afraid one. They are afraid of the people, and they are afraid of being taken out of power. But whether they are afraid or not, whether they are prepared or not, whether they like it or not, they are not going to be able to stop what has to happen, because what has to happen has to happen. And what has to happen in this season is the freedom of the Zimbabwean people, and we are standing for that. We are never going to bow down. So Sikhala is 100% correct that whatever that is Sanyatwe is saying here is just irresponsible, and nobody is going to be ever believing that. They can believe it if they want to in ZANU-PF and lie to themselves that they are going to be there forever. But we always tell them that time is a tester, and time is going to prove everything and everyone right or correct. So the truth of the matter is we are watching the time. We are looking at the passage of seasons, and these seasons are going to determine exactly what is going to be happening in Zimbabwe. So they are just natural human beings. They should never be speaking like gods the way that they want to speak. If they knew what is good for them, they should just zip their mouth and not to speak irresponsibly, especially at a time that we have entered. We are at a time that is very volatile, very, very, very unpredictable for ZANU-PF, because a lot that is happening is actually leading to their downfall. So we are watching and seeing what is going to be transpiring, but pressure is continuously being piled upon Mnangagwa, and more fights within ZANU-PF, and at times some other statements that are coming out are statements at times to cause the people to rise up against Mnangagwa. So some of these statements could be statements to provoke the people, especially to rise up against Mnangagwa, so that another faction of ZANU-PF can come in. So we are going to refuse to be used by these factions of ZANU-PF, whichever way that they may want to play their games. We are watching and opening our eyes this time around. We are not going to be used for their own internal issues and internal fights and squabbles. We are not going to be, swallowed and absorbed into that. We are not going to be sucked into those issues. Let them solve each other's problems there. Let them fight if they have to fight on their own. We are standing by the terraces and watching what God is doing as we are approaching the freedom of the Zimbabwean people. Zimbabwe is going to be free. Now, whether they like it or not, family, just hear it from me. Zimbabwe is going to be free. This time around is the Lord God himself who is in power and who is in charge and in control. And ZANU-PF, whether they threaten or they don't, whether they say they will be there until Madongamera Nyanga or whatever, but that is not going to stand the test of time. Time is a tester, and time is going to be the one that should judge whether ZANU-PF is going to go until Madonga or not. Because the truth of the matter is that Zimbabwe is going to be free, and God is in it. And the freedom of Zimbabwean people is here, and we are demanding that ZANU-PF and Mnangagwa must go, because enough is enough. What they've done in our country is enough. And we thank God that our prayers are being answered. We can see the results. We can see the outcomes that are coming out, showing in the direction that there is implosion and fire right in the camp of the enemy. So let us continue to be standing up and praying and believing God for our nation. Freedom is coming. God is in it. And definitely we are going to come out victorious, more than conquerors.